Hello, fellow primates, and welcome to another episode of Simple Not Easy. I'm your host, Gavin Bowen. Let's get to today's show. On today's show, we're going back to the roots of Simple Not Easy and talk about voting. I started this series off by talking about the November election and the propositions on the California ballot. Went over every single one. It helped a lot of you out there, but I think we kind of got a little bit of voter fatigue, especially down here in Southern California. We just had a recent municipal vote, which I will be getting to later. But first, I'd like to talk about low information voters, or as you know them, the people who are ruining your lives. These are people who don't really care to think about the issues and who are going out to vote regardless of what they actually know. In a November 2016 article published by the Washington Post, they wrote that drawing on data from the 2016 American National Election Studies pilot studies, we measured the need for cognition based on whether respondents agreed or disagreed that thinking is not my idea of fun, and I would rather do something that requires little thought than something that is sure to challenge my thinking abilities. We measured knowledge of government based on a question asking how long senators' terms were and a question on which of the four policy areas the government spends the least. For example, we found that people who did not know either of these questions about government evaluated Trump 20 points more favorable than Clinton, compared with those who knew both of those questions. Now, I'm not saying you need to know the answers to those to make rational decisions and informative decisions when you're in the voting booth. Actually, I would have to look up right now to see how long the terms are of a senator. I think they're like 2 years. Maybe they're 4 years. One of them's 2 years. The other one's 4 years. I think it's 4 years. Maybe it's 6. It might be 6 years. I really don't know, but I would look it up. I would inform myself. And that's the critical thing here. I mean, 20 points more favorable for Trump? That's clearly a group of individuals who are going to the voting booth purely based on either fears or anxieties that they have about the state of the world. But why do they have those fears and anxieties? It might be to the fact that they're uninformed. They helped Donald Trump win the election. We know that. What does this mean? Does this mean that there are more low information voters than high information voters? Aren't they just voting more often? It's something to think about. I don't know what the answer is, but we are not turning out for elections like we should be. Municipal elections, midterm elections, the county, the state election, these are important elections, and we all need to go out and vote for these things. Don't be stupid. Don't do stupid. Be smart about this. We can clearly see, and this goes for low information voters as well, if you're only voting for the president, you're not going to get anything done. Nothing will be accomplished. It's Congress that needs a shakeup. Now, in the 2018 midterm election that is coming up, there are a lot of Democratic Senate seats that are up for grabs. There are only 8 Republican, and 6 of them are probably safely Republican. So only 2 really could be flipped. But there are about 25 for Democrats that are up, and only maybe 7 are safe. We need to go out and vote. We need to hold on to those seats. And I'm not saying that Democrats have all the answers here, but what I am saying is that they definitely are going to be a strong deterrent to anything that Trump, if he is still president by that time, will want to do. We need to bolster the Democratic support in Congress. Otherwise, we're going to see more bans like the Muslim ban. We're going to see the de-evolution of our healthcare system from Obamacare. We're going to see funding for schooling going away. We're going to see programs like the student loan reimbursement. Those are all going to go away. These are all going to die if Trump is still president. And if Trump has a Congress that is Republican. But even with a Republican Congress, you can see that things aren't getting done. They couldn't even agree on their own health care bill. Anyway, that's enough about that. It's just important that you vote. And I'll give you a really crucial example. So here in Southern California, we have had a lot of elections, as of late. Since November, we've had 3 or 4 now different elections voting on different crucial measures. This last one, this municipal election, had only one measure on it. It passed with 57% of the vote, and that's significant. But should it have passed? Well, let's take a look at it. What was Measure C? The Los Angeles Times had an article leading up to the vote describing the measure and how you should vote against it. The subject matter is the 3-member panels called Boards of Rights that determine whether LAPD officers have committed serious misconduct and ought to be fired or otherwise disciplined. Now, this sounds like, okay, a 3-member panel. This is coming up for a vote because we want to change it. Well, why would we want to change it? Well, we would want to add civilians to the panel. This sounds like this could be a good idea. Have civilians decide the fate of officers who commit crimes or misconduct. Well, the Los Angeles Times puts it this way. The Los Angeles Police Protective League, the police officers union, once strongly resisted civilian participation. What do outsiders know of the dangers that officers face in the field? But the union quickly discovered that civilians ruled in favor of accused officers more often than did their captains and commanders. And now it wants officers to be able to choose between traditional boards and all civilian boards. In fact, last year, it sued the city in an effort to win that change. Either due to that effort or otherwise, it was pushed forward, put out on this ballot for last week's vote. And my guess is that low information voters who didn't know the full details about Measure C and just thought civilians on a panel is a better idea, but really is it, went ahead and they voted and they outnumbered the votes. These are big deals. So I'm making this video just as a PSA to vote. They always come out with videos like this, though. They always say, get out and vote. Go and vote. But they're usually saying it just for the presidential. I'm telling you to vote whenever there is a vote. There is always going to be a vote, and it's gonna be important. Down to your town, your city, your county, your state, and the country. There are votes that matter. So I hope you get out there and vote and show those low information voters that they do not hold any election hostage. That's been another episode of Simple Not Easy. I'm Gavin Bowen. I'll see you next time.